I'm RexParadox, the Undisputed Master of Darkness, the greatest man who ever lived. And today, in this video specifically, it's time for me to explain the Dangai, the power-up Ichigo gets in the final Getsuga Tenshou. So I don't want this video to take forever, so I'm gonna cut it down. I'm gonna try and simplify this as much as possible. So if you watch Bleach or read the manga and you pay attention, as I've explained in other videos too, the way that Ichigo's powers work is Tensuzangetsu, as it's called, the sword with the spiral cross on it, the swastika, whatever you want to call it. That's his Quincy powers. And the regular standard Zangetsu is the reflection or the idea of his Soul Reaper powers. Now, Ichigo never uses the real Zangetsu. I don't know. I can actually, it's probably a whole lot of reasons why he never uses it. But the point is, he never uses it. So, when Ichigo does his whole Dangai training, or whatever you want to call it, where he has his time skip inside the Dangai and he ages a couple of years, I think it's about 2 years if I remember right. Some people say it's months. Like, bruh, he had a huge growth spurt and a bunch of other stuff. He spent a couple years in there. So anyway, pay attention to the chain on his arm. The standard Zangetsu has the real Zangetsu, not the standard one. The real one that he carries around and he calls it Shikai. It has this cloth around it. And that's what Zangetsu looks like. He has a cloth. That's what it is. It's some type of cloth. Now, when he gets to the Tensuzangetsu form, there's a chain attached to the sword instead of the cloth. So, basically, what happens, if you're paying attention, Tensuzangetsu, he merges with Ichigo and the Dangai. They like fuse together. Now, what I'll compare it to is Uryu, Ishida, whatever you want to call him. So, early on, during the Soul Society invasion arc, he fights Mayuri Kurosuchi. And he uses, I can't remember what the move is called, but the Quincy's have this thing called Volk Standing or something along the lines of that. I don't know how to say it right off the top of my head or if I'm even saying it correctly, but it's something like Volk Standing. And what they do, they get to amass large quantities of spiritual energy like reishi, have ridiculous spiritual pressure. Because they can manipulate the reishi pretty freely, like breathing air. So what I always assume, using context clues and whatnot, making educated assessments about it, is the final Getsuga Tenshou is Ichigo's kind of using some of his Quincy powers, like Uryu's vaults, because you know he loses his power after this. After he uses the final Getsuga Tenshou, he loses his power. Now, his dad, Ishin, is like his Zangetsu, or whatever his Getsuga producing Zanbakuto allowed him to do when he did his final Getsuga Tenshou. If he ever actually did it, they're like, yo, don't do this, Joy, you're gonna lose your powers. And they'll come back eventually. But in Ichigo's case, I think he's using more his Quincy powers, because he relies on them a lot more heavily than Zangetsu, which people call Hollow Ichigo. And there's a scene from the filler arc that actually shows you, like, it's a legit 1-to-1. There's this arc in the anime. I don't even really want to call it a filler arc. When you see arcs in animes and stuff, like, they're supposed to add on to the story. Yes, it's not in the manga, but, I mean, there's a reason it's not in the manga. Because the manga artists got to draw all them goddamn panels. And basically what happens, Ichigo's Quincy powers get separated from him. And he only can use the real, I'm not going to say the real his version of Zangetsu.
Bankai! I am sorry, Ichigo. Without my power, you will not be able to use your Bankai.
He tries fighting Old Man Zangetsu, which is his Quincy powers. You walk, and he can't use Bankai. And that's all you need to see right there. It's a 1-to-1. He couldn't use it because that's his Bankai right there. His Quincy powers act as his Bankai. Now, I don't think that Kubo makes it like a storytelling point where Ichigo absorbs Reishi or whatever, but I mean, it would make sense, you know, when he's in his Bankai. Explain how he can move so fast and whatnot, what the difference is there. He has to be using some of those Quincy powers somewhere down the line. Even if he's not explicitly explaining that he's doing it, I mean, it probably comes naturally to him with all the wild powers Ichigo is capable of. So, Dangai Ichigo is the Volk-standing version of Ichigo. And what happens when Ichigo loses his powers is they go to Yawak. And that's why he can come in the last arc and he's all strong and shit. Because all that power Ichigo used when he fought Aizen and used the Mugetsu, when he used that, all that power, well, it's like, it's relative. Because he gets stronger than that later on in the series. When he comes back from training at the Soul King's Palace with the dual Zangetsus, even though they're split, and he's stronger than the Dangai Ichigo, that Mugetsu, he's stronger than that. And all those Mugetsu powers that he had from 2 years of training that he loses, they go to Yawak, however you say that man's name. They go to him. Again, explaining how the Quincy's got so goddamn powerful and they're able to invade the Soul Society and finish up the 1,000-year Blood War arc. So there you go. Now, what I'm guessing, just as like a little footnote, I'm assuming that the real Zangetsu, he had to kind of play a part in that, where he had to give him his powers too, because the Mugetsu is like a blue thing. And as I've talked about this before in previous videos, Ichigo's Soul Reaper powers, Zangetsu, are the blue/white stuff. And his Quincy powers are the red and black stuff. Now, because Zangetsu has, I mean, he's the same thing as Ichigo. He has Quincy powers, Hollow powers, and Soul Reaper powers. I don't know about the old man Zangetsu. I mean, yeah, you could probably say he has some of those Soul Reaper powers, but actually, he does have the Quincy powers, because when he's fighting Ichigo during the whole, like, they're talking about blah blah blah, such and such, like what's gonna happen, he has the horns and part of the mask and stuff. So he can use the hollow powers too. Definitely can't use them as well as the real Zangetsu, aka Hollow Ichigo, or the White Ichigo, whatever you want to call it, if you like still on that dumb shit. So yeah, he says he becomes Zangetsu, or he says he becomes the Getsuga Tenshou or something like that when he uses it, Mugetsu against Aizen. And that's just him taking on some type of Quincy power form. That's really it. That's it. Pretty simple stuff, man. Pretty simple. Anytime you see like Hollow Ichigo, which people call Hollow Ichigo, the White Ichigo, he doesn't use a chain weapon, my guy. There's no chain. When you see a chain involved, that's the Quincy powers, man. And the chain is symbolic. And I mean, I don't have to explain all this stuff, man. Ain't nobody about to watch this video. The point is, this is how it works. This is it. This is the definitive answer. Ain't nothing else to it. The Dangai stuff is his Quincy powers. Simple. It's that simple. Because, well, had he truly bonded with the real Zangetsu, he wouldn't have been in that Bankai state. I mean, all you have to do is look at his Zanpakuto at the time. And whenever you see the Tensa Zangetsu Zanpakuto, no matter what point it is in the series, That's his Quincy powers. When he uses his Bankai, quote unquote Bankai, against Ginjo, for instance, that's his Quincy powers coming out. Even his full brain is generally considered like that's his Quincy powers, bruh. That's it. It's the color scheme, my guy. And you'll say, oh, well, you know, Tensa Zangetsu in White Ichigo or Hollow Ichigo, whatever you want to call him. The real Zangetsu, his cereals are red and black. Well, I'm guessing what the case is with that is because Zangetsu has Quincy powers. He uses his Quincy powers like Ichigo does when he does those red and black Getsuga Tenshous.
Here I come, Ichigo. Getsuga Tenshou.
Damn it!
That's it, man. Like those red cereals he's doing, or whatever ballas, I don't know. They could be Grand Ray cereals. Who knows what the case is? When he does those, that's his Quincy powers, my guy. That's his Quincy powers. And that's the video. Bye. Like and subscribe. Have a nice day. Remember, with Ichigo, the blue powers are his Soul Reaper powers, the real Zangetsu. When it comes to the red stuff, that's the Quincy powers. Yawak. They were calling him Juabak or something earlier. I can't. I need the English dub to, like, you know, I need them to say their names officially so we can get that straight. But there you go, man. That's it. If you ever were curious about the Dangai and how that worked out, basically Ichigo beats Aizen with his Quincy powers and some of his Soul Reaper powers, but it's mainly his Quincy stuff. Like, generally, the whole Wako Mundo arc is Ichigo using his Quincy powers. And you'll say, like, oh, he needs them. No, he doesn't, because he beat Kenpachi with the regular standard Shikai. He beat a captain level enemy who took his eye patch off with a Shikai, bruh. Like, he don't need Tensa Zangetsu. That's just for a speed boost. That's about it.
Tell me, where in the hell did you learn to use Bankai like this?
Isn't it obvious? I learned at the same time you did.
And I mean, ooh, man. So the reason, you know what? That's enough. Maybe I'll save it for another video. Basically, think about it like this, man. All right, so the Quincy powers are from his mother, and he's gonna gravitate towards that more, just naturally, because, you know, the whole his mom died, and that's a big driving character force for his character and stuff. So, like, he's gonna gravitate towards that power, man. Think about it like that. If you wonder why he was more comfortable using old man Zangetsu, you walk his Quincy powers, it's because of his mom. So, yeah. That's the final footnote. I bid you adieu. Farewell. Have a nice day.
Ready when you are.
Getsuga Tenshou.
Getsuga Tenshou!